Africa is being ruled by idiots. All of them. Of every African president is ruled by that. Every African president is an idiot. Hello everybody. So today, welcome to another video right here on the Dummy Effect React. Today we are going to be reacting to France secretly owns 14 countries. France secretly owns 14 countries. That's crazy. That's crazy. France secretly owns 14 countries. And I'm going to tell you right now before we even start the video, majority of those countries are in Africa. Majority of those countries are present in Africa, are located in Africa. I'm going to tell you that for free. I'm going to tell you that for free. So without further ado, let's jump into the video. Let's go.
This is a banknote from Senegal. Here is another from Congo. They look nothing like each other.
This banknote, this one right here, the one on the right, is the one that we use in my country, Cameroon. We use that one. I don't know if we still use that one, but we use. I remember this one. We use it.
Yet they are part of the same scheme, a scheme that pegs both currencies to the euro, a rate determined by the French treasury. The issue at stake is the apex of French policymaking, the CFA franc. Using it, France controls the monetary sovereignty.
So these are the countries right here. We have Cameroon, which is my country, Cameroon, Chad, Congo, I think it's Equatorial Guinea, Gabon, Guinea-Bissau, Ivory Coast, Mali, Niger, Senegal, Togo, Central African Republic, Benin, Burkina Faso. So these are all the countries, and like I said, they're all African countries.
Of 14 nations, making up nearly 200 million people. These countries include Benin, Burkina Faso, Cameroon, Chad, Congo, Equatorial Guinea, Gabon, Guinea-Bissau, Ivory Coast, Mali, Niger, Senegal, Togo, and the Central African Republic. And while these nations have a seat at the United Nations and wave their independent flags, it is only the face of imperialism that has changed. The conduct of business has largely remained the same. The big difference is that imperialism used to be spread through tanks. Nowadays, it comes through banks.
Yo, Africa is toast. I don't know about you guys. I don't know if you guys know this, but Africa is fucked. African countries, they will tell you Africa is free. African countries are free, but no, bro. These countries are fucked. They're not free for shit. They rely solely. Most of them, no, they are still controlled. They are still very, very controlled by most of these Western countries, the European countries and all that stuff. They are controlled by them, especially France. France is the devil. France controls so many countries in Africa. And those are the 14 countries that you see in there. But recently, Burkina Faso, Mali, and I think Burkina Faso and Guinea chased France away. I don't know, in the front end, at least in the front end. I don't know what's going to happen, what is actually happening in the back end. So, yeah.
Special thanks to the sponsor of this video, War Thunder, the most comprehensive and historically about it immersive solution at a large. Anyone can create money. The hard part is having others accept it. In pre-colonial times, many African societies used cowrie seashells as a medium of exchange. These seashells were so widely circulated that by 1800 they had an official exchange rate with the French currency. But as the French Empire colonized deeper into Africa, Paris sought to monopolize these circuits of production and trade. Taxes were demanded in francs, and armed troops were sent to markets, forcing merchants to accept French currency. From the 1930s onwards, France came to dominate the money supply in French-speaking Africa. With new power came new extrajudicial perks. Paris gained access to African labor and raw materials at sub-market prices. while finished goods were sold back to Africa at above market prices.
So, if for those who don't understand that, let me tell you. Let me explain what that means. So, France basically will come to Africa and get raw materials and free labor for cheap, close to cheap, like close to very very cheap prices. But then when they take those raw materials after it's been dug up from Africa, when they take it back to their countries, they refine it, take it back to France, they refine it, make it to a finished product. When they sell it back to Africa, top money. Africa has to pay the maximum price. Like they have to pay him a lot more money. So you judge for yourself and tell me what that is.
French neocolonialism was so intrusive, so ruthless, so unique that it earned a name of its own, France Afrique. Following World War II, however, things changed. Paris joined the Bretton Woods system, and as a result, the French franc was devalued to set a fixed exchange rate with the US dollar. These fiscal reforms were taking place at a time when Africa was decolonizing itself. A weaker currency only added fuel to the fire. So, to hold on to its African holdings, France conjured a new currency in 1945 called the CFA franc and forced its colonies to adopt it. Initially, the CFA franc was pegged to its French counterpart at a rate of 1.7 to 1, but in 1948 it was increased to 2 to 1. By overvaluing the CFA franc, Paris maintained its economic advantage while crushing Africa's export competitiveness. So in a way, France built its post-war recovery partially to a wealth transfer from Africa.
Exactly.
Even so, the most effective forms of control are those that are invisible. Recognizing this in 1958, France hijacked authentic decolonization by installing local collaborators and granting them statehood. These collaborators became the custodians of France's neo-colonial empire by maintaining the franc zone and French military bases. Only Guinea turned down the offer. Its leader, Sékou Touré, declared that his people preferred being poor in freedom than rich in slavery.
Bro, I wish we had a president like this back then, bro. Everyone just agreed to everything. All of these countries, I don't know what's wrong with them. Everyone just agreed with France. I wonder how Burkina Faso, or not Burkina, Guinea. I wonder how this Guinea looks today.
Guinea thus rejected the CFA franc, seeking to develop its own currency. France felt it needed to make an example of Guinea, so it cut pensions to war veterans, dismantled Guinea's power grid, and then attempted to block its UN membership. France went as far as to induce hyperinflation by flooding the country with counterfeit bills, all the while funding armed anti-government resistance. Yeah, it got pretty crazy. The plan ultimately failed to dislodge.
And these are all things. These are things that happen when countries don't want to play the game, but they don't want to play along. These are things that happen actually. So they do this to your country, so you are forced to join or to accept whatever thing they are trying to sell to you. I feel like an example of this is what happened to Zimbabwe, because Zimbabwe didn't want to play along to the what is this? The reason why Zimbabwe was so isolated and punished so badly is because I feel like they did something. They did something to reject. I think it was America or somebody, and they wanted to use Zimbabwe as an example to show other African countries, like, if you don't agree with what we are trying to say, if you don't buy what we're selling, if you don't take into account what we're trying to give to you, or whatever we're trying to give to you, we're gonna this is how your country is gonna be like Zimbabwe. There was one time I was talking with a friend the other day. He was saying to go buy a loaf of bread, you have to get like a pack of money. Your money has to be like this, a bundle of money. You have to get like a bundle of money just to go buy bread. And that's how bad it was in Zimbabwe. So some of this is what these Western countries do. These Western powers, this is what they do. When they try to benefit from you, and you are like, if you are wise, If you're like, nah, I don't want to. I don't want that. Thank you very much, but I don't want that. They punish you. And they are punishing you to prove a point to the other people. It's like, if you don't go along with what we're trying to do, if you don't go along with the stealing, if you don't let us steal from you, if you don't let us turn you guys as slaves, this is what we're gonna do to you. So it's either you take it or you don't take it. No, it's either you take it or you take it, because there's no other option. So they're basically forcing you to do it. This is what they keep doing to us, man. And that's the problem. When they do that to one African country, the other African countries fall in line. And that's crazy. That's crazy. They don't know if they do that to one African country and we all stand up and say, no, this is not right. We're not gonna take this. We're not gonna take this. If you're gonna do that to them, it means you're gonna also do that to us. So we're not gonna take this. Take your deal back. They cannot do that to every African country. Which is why there's this thing that I keep on saying, Africa is being ruled by idiots. All of them. Of every African president is ruled by that. Every African president is an idiot. Because all they do, I don't know. Why do they keep I don't even know. The names keep coming. There's a name that keep coming in my head. I feel like it was the first president of Ghana or something. That it was he was pushing the One Africa agenda. And they tried. I think they killed him. They assassinated him because One Africa is never gonna. They don't want One Africa. And this is the time. This was when these people start punishing other African countries. This is when we're supposed to stand up for each other. No, but these people, because they have benefits, because the presidents have benefits that benefits their immediate families. They don't give a fuck about the country. No, fuck you. They don't give a fuck about the country. They give a fuck about their immediate families. And they become presidents just to help their immediate families. And they put things in places or people in places to protect that money that's coming to them. That's Africa now.
Lodge, Sequatory, but Guinea's economy never fully recovered. Likewise, when Togo had a change of heart and sought to ditch the CFA franc, France made another example, this time without loose ends. Togo's leader, Sylvanus Olympio, was assassinated in January 1963.
Exactly, and this is what they do. If you don't play ball, if you don't play along with their plans, they either kill you or they cripple your economy. France is just one of the people that do that. That people have actually seen that do that. Because all of these people do. America does it. France does it. Britain does it. They be taking people for fools, man.
French involvement is suspected, but official records remain conveniently closed. Of itself, further attempts to conceal French imperialism followed. The CFA franc was split into two currencies covering the Central and West African states. By the mid-1970s, their respective central banks were Africanized and moved to Yaoundé and Dakar. Though local Africans staffed these institutions, there were no fundamental policy changes, and France retained veto power over the banks' governing statutes. This included a requirement that member states deposit half their exchange reserves at the French treasury, plus another 20% for financial liabilities, meaning member states retained access only to 30% of their money. Moreover, all foreign
What? Do you even hear that? Oh my god. No, that's crazy. So only 30%. We only use 30% of our money. Only 30% of our income, like the country's income belongs to the country. 30%, and the rest goes to 70, right? 8, 9, 10. Yeah, 70% goes to France, bro. 70% goes to France. Jesus Christ.
Exchange conversions were to pass through the French treasury. The way this fiscal policy works is by operations accounts. These are special accounts held at the French treasury. The denominations are in euros, but when accounts are in credit, the African central banks effectively place their...
Bro, and this French idiot, this French cunts. Sorry about that. This French people keep talking to, they keep talking to Africans like, I mean, Europeans keep talking to Africans like we are like we are shit. They talk to us anyhow. These people really have the guts. Like, this video actually proves that we build your cities, we build your economy. Like, without us, you are nothing, basically. Without Africa, you are nothing. But a little bit of respect, you don't have it for us. Because of our skin color. You think because of our skin color, we are just the underground. We are nothing, bro. No. We build your economies. So the next time you see a black person in your country, you go up to that person and shake their hands because they've been through a lot. Man, fuck these people.
Foreign exchange reserves at France's disposal, but when the central bank's accounts are in debit, they are obligated to pay interest to the French treasury. In other words, CFA member states pay France to hold on to their money. Even more unsettling, no one knows what France does with the money.
What do you mean no one knows what they use the money to build their economies with it? They use the money to make France better. There's one thing. If you go on the internet, you can see everything now on the internet. If you go on the internet and you search all of these countries that you've been able to mention here, if you search all of these countries, you see that all of them, they all look the same. You cannot, if they take a random picture in one of these countries and show you, you cannot differentiate. You cannot know which country is which, because all of those countries are broke, are poor, the same way. Like, if you take bro.
French treasury does not disclose this information even to CFA franc.
Because they don't need to. They don't need to. You guys are slaves. These are the slave colonies. Even though they feel like they're trying to, bro, these are slave colonies, whether you like it or not.
Nations. So it wouldn't be out of the ordinary if France were to reinvest African funding for French profit. However, one looks at it, the CFA scheme is an effective moneymaker for France, and French businesses benefit as much as the French treasury. More specifically, France doesn't need to draw on its foreign exchange reserves for African imports. Dozens of French multinationals are present in Africa, including Total Energies, Areva, and Vinci. Africa also grants France access to strategic resources like uranium, which is indispensable for France's nuclear energy sector, meeting 3/4 of French energy needs. Meanwhile, Gabon is a source of crude oil, Mauritania delivers iron ore, while Togo and Benin provide agricultural commodities. Additionally, the icing on the cake, French national Vincent Bolloré owns most of West Africa's major ports. It is thus not by incident that former French President Jacques Chirac once stated that much of the money in French banks comes precisely from exploiting Africa, and that France would lose its global standing without its African empire. To preserve its hegemony, France has intervened militarily on the continent 40 times since the 1960s, from propping up corrupt dictators to conducting military operations in the Sahel. Moreover, the configurations of the CFA franc allow profits and capital to be repatriated with ease. Between 1970 and 2010, Ivory Coast lost $40 billion to capital flight, which could have reduced poverty by 10% annually had it been reinvested domestically. Meanwhile, Equatorial Guinea and Congo, the main oil producers, transferred out the money equivalent of 43% and 30% of their respective GDPs between 2000 and 2009. Similar trends are present in Gabon and Cameroon.
Bro, these are money, these are cars, these are finances or money that could develop these countries, could make these countries better. But what is France doing? They take all the money, bro. They take it all. They make France better. Leave you guys broke. And people still have like this There's people still love France. Fuck France, bro. Since I started knowing these things, I'm always like, France is a fucking terrible country. And the thing is, they do it without even respect. They don't even show respect to black people. Even when black people try to, even when, let's say, don't even just say black people. Let's say when people from these colonies, from these slave colonies, try to travel to France, when they try to travel to France, bro, the process is difficult. The process is difficult. I mean, why would they let you travel out when they know they are losing a slave? You are a slave. You are basically a slave, so they cannot let you leave. You have to stay on the continent or in the country and work for them, because the more you work, the more money they get. So it makes sense why they don't want Africans to leave Africa. Because if you leave Africa, basically, who's gonna work for them? How is the money gonna come to them? How are they gonna get the money? They're not gonna get money if you leave Africa. If the Africans keep leaving Africa, going that side, it's gonna be difficult for them to actually get some of the things that they get. And so that's why they block some of the things. They block some of you guys to not leave. But bro, these are currency. These are finances that could develop these countries. And I tell you, if you don't know, these countries are broke. They are poor. Poor. Oh. If you check the poorest countries in the world, these French countries are amongst them. The poorest countries in the world, these countries are amongst them. A French country is among it. Wait, let me even just try to hold on. Let me see. Let's Google this thing real quick. The poorest country in the world. So the poorest country in the world, 2024. Okay, let's not 2024. Let's do the poorest country in the world, 2023. It says here, let's look at this. According to the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank, in 2023, Burundi holds the designation of the poorest country globally. So Burundi, I don't think Burundi is one of them. One of the French countries. Let me see. So number one is South Sudan. And I think this is the top 5 of 2024. We have South Sudan, Burundi, Central African Republic, Democratic Republic of Congo, Niger, Mozambique, Malawi, Liberia, Chad, Madagascar. And this is Central African Republic is definitely French. Democratic Republic of Congo is definitely French. I don't know, but these other ones, no, they're not by French. I don't think so. Burundi is not. Yeah, no, Burundi is not one of them. Yeah, but you get my point. At least 2 of them are there. 2 of them are there. And they're not even supposed to be. Africa is not supposed to have any poor country. Africa is not supposed to be on the poorest country on any list. No.
Opulence at the top generates misery below. Though advocates point to the CFA franc's stability, a lack of monetary sovereignty restricts the tools available to the CFA member states. For instance, Ivory Coast's inflation rate is below 6% versus 29% in neighboring Ghana, but the latter's extreme poverty rate is only 13% versus 30% of Ivorians. The CFA member states also lag behind other African states growth-wise. Some are even going backwards. Ivory Coast's real GDP per capita is 1/3 lower than in 1978. In 2016, Senegal was at its 1960 level. Meanwhile, Cameroon, Congo, and Gabon have not topped their respective peaks of 1986, 1984, and 1976. This means these countries have had little to no real economic growth in decades. But change is the only constant in life. In recent years, the societies of the CFA member states have started publicly talking about alternatives. It's a trend that is becoming increasingly louder. The most feasible proposal is to form a regional currency bloc untethered from French control.
France is gonna fuck y'all up. France is gonna fuck yo. Ugh.
Proponents of this plan would use the West African ECOWAS economic union as a springboard. This would reorient the CFA franc member states around Nigeria, which accounts for more than 2/3 of the regional GDP. Plus, Nigeria is a net oil exporter, while most West African states are importers, so there is a natural synergy in the ECOWAS region. Of course, nothing worth having comes easy. Paris has sought to forestall these attempts. A law to this effect was passed in the French Senate in January 2021. It looks to change the West African CFA franc into the ECO, and then abolish the operations accounts and withdraw French personnel from the central banks. All this is to be completed by 2027, but Paris would still retain effective control. Where the African monetary reserves would be held, at which location remains unaddressed. It's safe to say that the French reform is nothing but a ruse. Ultimately, the best solution may be for the individual states to have their own central banks and currencies fixed to a common regional unit at an adjustable rate. This would give monetary sovereignty to 14 nations or nearly 200 million people. But many still fear crossing swords with France, and for good reasons. So, any attempts to break away from French hegemony would require a joint effort across the CFA franc zone. Most of all, the African collaborating elites who benefit from the system would need to be sidelined and replaced by lawmakers prepared to embark on a path of self-directed development. This may prove to be the greatest stumbling block. And it's something that has to change from within, because there is nothing more agreeable in life than making peace with the status quo, and yet nothing more corrupting. I've been your host Shirvan from Caspian Report. Remember to play War Thunder now on...
Thank you, Chevon. Thank you, Chevon. I don't know, Chevon. Thank you very much for that. That was very, very insightful. I mean, I knew most of these things, but I didn't know all of that. Thank you. I think also recently Mali, Burkina Faso, and I think some of these countries want to leave. They are forming their own coalition and they're trying to get rid of the franc as well. Let me see. Mali, is it Burkina Faso? Burkina Faso and who? Burkina Faso and who the Niger to leave the CFA franc. Let's just do that. Maybe give us something. Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger consider ditching the CFA franc. Burkina Faso, Mali, that's CGTN Africa. I don't know if those news channels are good. Burkina Faso. Okay, this is Reuters. I think that's credible. Burkina Faso may quit West African Currency Union, but not Mali. Oh, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger are considering ditching CFA. Considering they haven't left yet. Considering, because by the time they actually make a decision and say, okay, we are leaving, bro, it's gonna be World War III out in Africa, because these people can just let this thing happen, because basically it's like being fired. It's like, wait, it's like, what is it? I don't even know, because this is their means. This is France's means of getting money. This is how they make their money. Without Africa, France is dog shit. France can't really compete with other European countries. Africa is the only reason why France is considered one of the superpowers, I guess. Because to be a superpower, you have to be really you have to be really credible by you have to have resources, right? You have to have resources. But these people don't have no resources. Most of the resources come from Africa. And if all of this, if these countries start considering things like this, because if Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso succeed to actually do what they're planning to do, It means they are the other ones are if they succeed, the other ones are going to join very soon, and that's bad news for France. So I don't think it's gonna happen. It's gonna succeed unless Russia helps them go through that. Which I feel like Russia is actually down to help. I feel like Russia actually would like to help them. That's crazy though. Oh, man, that's mad. All right. Thank you for watching this video. If you like it, please go ahead. Leave a like down below. Leave a comment also and let me know what you think about this whole shebang debacle. All right. Let me know. See you in the next one. Bye bye bye.